Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back. My name is Stephanie, otherwise known as AstroKnotty, and today I'm going to show you how to crochet this easy willow wrap hooded shawl. Now, I did just publish a written pattern which is linked down below, but for my beginners and visual learners, we will take it step by step today on how to crochet the triangle and the rectangle hood. Now, you are welcome to use any weight yarn and hook size that you prefer. For both of my projects today, I used a chunky weight 5 yarn and a 7mm hook. Feel free to have fun with this one and change colors as you please. At the end of the project, I will show you how to add tassels and fringe to the bottom and optional pom-poms or ears, so just have fun with this one. So this is what my finished project looks like worn. I used probably about 500 yards of chunky weight 5 yarn. Sizing is customizable and made to measure. I typically just make my triangle until it reaches past my hips for better coverage. But to determine your own specific measurement, take your height and divide it by 2, and this is how tall the triangle will be. This is also how you figure out a child-sized poncho as well. Just take their height and divide it by 2. And let's get started. And I was going through my chunky yarn box to see what color scheme I wanted to do. I did want something more fun, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to keep it simple and use a single skein instead of changing colors each row like I normally would. I am going to use a 7mm hook, and I don't have a skein label, but I'm going to compare this yarn to, it's similar to like a Premier puzzle yarn, which is normally about 150 grams or 250 yards per skein. So to get started, we're going to work on our triangle part. You're going to make your first knot, and to start row 1, we're going to chain 5. Now this chain 5 counts as your first double crochet and a chain 1. Into the very first chain, you're going to insert 3 double crochet. If you don't know how to do a double crochet, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into that first stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. Insert 1 final double crochet into that stitch. So we now have 3 double crochet. Now you're going to chain 2 and insert 3 more double crochet into that same stitch. It's going to look a little crowded at first, but it is forming the base of our triangle. After those 3, chain 1 and 1 last double crochet into that same stitch. You should have 8 double crochet stitches total, and we have now formed a triangle. As you can see, we have those 3 chain spaces. For round 2, you're going to chain 4 and turn your work. This counts as your first double crochet and a chain 1. Now into that same stitch, insert 1 double crochet. We're always going to make an increase at the beginning. Into that chain 1 space, insert another double crochet. And in the next 3 stitches on the side, insert a double crochet. Once you get to the chain 2 space, which is the top of your triangle, insert 2 DC, chain 2, 2 more DC into that same space. And repeat down the opposite side with 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. When you get to the chain 1 space, which is right there, don't miss it, insert a double crochet. And in the top of that chain 3, you're going to end with 1 double crochet, chain 1, 1 more double crochet. And it can get a little wonky at the end because we are starting with a chain 4, but remember that chain 4 is always going to be a double crochet and a chain 1. But at the end of row 2, you should have 16 double crochet stitches and 3 corners for your triangle. Okay, to start row 3, you're going to chain 4 and turn your work. Remember, this counts as your first double crochet and a chain 1. In that same stitch, you're going to insert another double crochet. This counts as our first increase for that corner. In the chain 1 space, insert a double crochet. Now insert 1 DC in each stitch down the side until you get to that top corner. So this row should have 7 stitches. So 2 DC, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And once you get to your chain 2 space, you're going to insert 2 DC, chain 2, 2 DC. And that counts as another increase at the top of our triangle. Now repeat down the opposite side with 1 double crochet in each of the next 7 stitches. If it helps, you should definitely count your stitches each row to make sure you're on the right track. And once you get to that chain 1 space, insert a double crochet. And at the top of that chain 3, you're going to insert 1 double crochet, chain 1, 1 double crochet, because we need 3 increases to keep the shape of our triangle each row. So at the end of row 3, you should end with 24 double crochet stitches and 3 chain spaces for the corners. Okay, now I will do another row or 2 with you on camera before we do some off-camera work, considering this is a very repetitive pattern. You're going to chain 4 and turn your work. Insert 1 double crochet into that same stitch, 1 double crochet into the chain 1 space. Now insert 1 double crochet in each stitch down the side until you get to that chain 2 space. And it's important to count your stitches each row to make sure both sides are identical. And down below in the description box, I will have the stitch counts that you will need for each row in case you like to follow by number. Each row is only going to increase by 8 stitches. So if row 3 was 24 stitches, then row 4 will have 32. Once you get to that chain 2 space, you're going to insert 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. Now work the same on the opposite side with 1 double crochet in each stitch on the side. And then when you get to that chain 1 space, insert a double crochet. Make sure you don't miss it because it's really easy to miss considering we made it a chain 4. But yeah, in that space, make a double crochet. And then at the top of that chain 3, you're going to insert 1 double crochet, chain 1, 1 double crochet. So again, that chain 4 at the end can be a little tricky to visualize, but remember that it is a double crochet and a chain 1 space. And that is the end of row 4, and you should have 32 double crochet stitches. And this is the pattern that we're going to repeat until you reach your desired height for your triangle. Like I said, each row is going to increase by 8 stitches. You will have 3 increases at the beginning, the middle, and the end. So real quick to start row 5, remember you're going to chain 4, turn your work, insert a double crochet into that same stitch, a double crochet into the chain 1 space, 1 DC in each stitch on the side until you get to that top chain 2 space. And just repeat the same process on the opposite side of your triangle. And it really is that easy. I'm going to do some work off camera, but if you do get confused, please feel free to slow down the video or refer to the description below for your stitch counts and more detailed written instructions. And And remember, we are making the triangle panel until it is at least half of our height. So my triangle is going to be half of 62 inches because I do want it to cover below my hips. All right, I did another row off camera and I'm going to complete some more rows until I reach my own personal desired height. Hopefully this video hasn't been too confusing. And here is my project after, I don't know, 30-ish rows. As you can see, it's definitely forming this nice triangle shape. It is going to curl up a little bit, so don't let that worry you. But now I want to show you how to add your hood. And this is optional after you reach your desired height. So to create the optional hood, these are adult measurements, but you are going to need a measuring tape. Start from the center of your shawl, measure 12 inches to the right, and insert a stitch marker. I don't quite have child size measurements yet for the hood, so I do apologize. But for adult measurements, your hood should be about 24 inches wide. So again, from the left side, you're going to measure from that center and put a stitch marker. So your hood will be 24 inches wide, 12 inches to the left and 12 inches to the right. Now count your rows to make sure that both sides are identical and adjust your stitch markers as needed. So it looks like I just need to move mine over one more row. And let's get started on our rectangle hood. This is pretty easy and will just consist of double crochet rows, and we will reach a height of about 12 to 15 inches. So I am actually sizing down my hook. I was using a larger size for flow and drape of the shawl, but for my hood, I want it to be a little stiffer so it frames my face and doesn't get all warpy. So I do recommend sizing down your hook at least 1 millimeter. You're going to start by taking your yarn and hook and inserting it into the first stitch marker onto the side of a row. You're going to chain 3, and this counts as your first double crochet. In that same stitch, you're going to insert one more double crochet. This is because we're going to insert 2 DC in the side of each row. So skip over to the next row and insert 2 more double crochet. And you're going to repeat this all the way down with 2 DC in the side of each row. And once you get to the middle loop that we started with, I just recommend putting 1 double crochet. You can fit two double crochet in there if you'd like, but ideally we are just putting 2 DC on the side of each row. And like I said, once you get to that middle stitch, you can insert 1 double crochet or 2, it's up to you. I like to go down below the loop so I can get more support for that middle stitch. And then I'm going to continue the opposite side with 2 DC in the side of each row until I get to my stitch marker. So yeah, this first row should be pretty easy. We're just doing solid double crochet stitches to get the proper width for the start of our hood. And I will meet you once I get to my stitch marker. And I finished off with my last double crochet, and our first row of the hood is complete. Now don't mind my holes and gaps in my project. I'm using looser tension and a larger hook than I should with this yarn. But if you prefer to double check your work, you can count your stitches to the right and left of that middle stitch to make sure they are equal, but that might not be completely necessary. So to start row 2, we're just going to chain 3 and turn our work. You're going to insert 1 double crochet into the next stitch and 1 double crochet in each stitch down to the end of this row. And that's it. We're just going to repeat this process until we reach the desired height for our hood. For adults, it should be about, or at least 12 inches high. So just these solid double crochet rows. And I got down to the end of row 2. To start row 3, you're just going to do the same thing. Chain 3, turn your work, insert a double crochet into the next stitch, and 1 double crochet in each stitch down to the end. And I'm going to do the rest of my rows off camera until my hood is at least 12 inches high. My hood is now complete, and as you can tell, I did run out of the original yarn that I was using and had to switch it up with something similar in color and weight. My hood's about 12 inches high, and it's now time to seam it closed. I recommend leaving a long tail to weave in and out, or just continue with the same yarn you had. Now you can use your own personal method. I don't like using a tapestry needle, so I'm going to do a front loop, back loop, single crochet. You're just going to fold your hood in half and connect those 2 corners. Like I said, I normally do a front loop, back loop method. I find that this helps hide that seam. But you're just going to close this all the way down, and I will meet you at the end. And once you are done with your hood seam, you can fold it inside out. Now my hood looks a little bit wonky because I did have to change weights and yarn colors. But for this last step, I want to show you how to do a full single crochet border. I feel like this really cleans up the look of the shawl, and I definitely recommend experimenting with maybe some faux furs or art yarns to really help your shawl pop. So if you're interested in a border, that is up next. So you're going to flip your project over, lay it face down. We're going to start on your left wing corner. Okay, so start in that left wing and insert a single crochet stitch in that first stitch. Single crochet in the one, chain 1 space, and then a single crochet in each stitch down all the way until you get to that chain 2 space. And normally I would at least change colors for the border or add some fur, but for the sake of the video, I'm just going to continue with the same yarn that I'm using. So continue with 1 single crochet stitch until you get to that chain 2 space. Once you get to that chain 2 space, insert 3 single crochet into the tip, and then continue on the opposite side with a single crochet in each stitch all the way up until you get to the right wing. And I will meet you at the tip of the right wing. Okay, at that wing, you're going to insert a single crochet into that chain 1 space, a single crochet into the top of that chain 3. Now you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. And we're going to work along the upper wing, around our hood, and on the opposite wing. We're going to insert 2 single crochet into the side of that double crochet, and actually insert 2 single crochet on the side of each row all the way down to the opposite wing. So go ahead and insert 2 single crochet into the side of that row, and in the next row you're going to insert 2 more single crochet. And this is what we're doing for the remainder of the border, is inserting 2 stitches on the side of each double crochet row. And once you get to the hood, the process is still the same. You're just going to turn to work along the hood and 2 stitches in each row. And the border is really that easy, but I will meet you around at the end. Once you get to the end, finish with a couple stitches, chain 1, slip stitch to the beginning single crochet, and then cut your yarn and fasten off. And that's it. Go ahead and weave in your ends, and your poncho is pretty much done. You're welcome to accessorize it. In the next part of the video, I'm actually going to show you how to add some large bundles of tassels to the three corners of the shawl, but you can even add fringe in each stitch along. I just find that individual fringe takes too long, so I'm going to do tassels. So to make your bundle tassels, I normally make strings that are at least 8 to 10 inches long, and I cut about 40-ish pieces. We're going to be doing 3 tassel bundles. You can make them as thick or thin as you want. I did go a little on the thinner side this time because I was running out of yarn. But go ahead and separate it into 3 bundles with the equal amounts of yarn. For your first bundle, you're just going to take a string and you're going to wrap a knot around that middle. Now this will just help fold the bundle in half and create the shape for our tassel. You're going to take a second string and tie a knot around the upper half of your tassels. And this is going to help create that nice shape that we normally see with tassels. So wrap yarn around a couple times and then weave your ends in. Do that 3 times and attach to the 3 corners, and your poncho is now complete. But yeah, that's it. This is my finished project, and I really appreciate y'all's time today, and I hope you learned something new. This really is a quick and easy stash buster. You can feel free to accessorize it in other ways. For my original poncho, I added some pom-poms on the hood. I was going to do kitten ears, but I just thought the pom-poms really added some pop of color and texture. Yeah, feel free to send me your completed projects, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.